Welcome back to After the Blog, the podcast where we dive deeper into the topics that I've covered in my blog posts. I'm your host, of course, Rod Trent, and today we're hitting the midpoint of 2025. All right. Can you believe we're halfway through the year already? I tell my wife every February or March, hey, Christmas is just around the corner, and she looks at me and rolls her eyes, but time does really move super fast. All right. So I thought, it's the perfect time to kind of take stock of one of the most critical and I guess faster evolving areas in tech right now, which is AI security and responsible AI. All right. So we're going to unpack how AI security has progressed, spotlight some recent incidents that have raised eyebrows, explore why the focus on these topics is accelerating, and dive into the unique risks that have been posed by, or will be posed, I guess, by agentic AI, or those autonomous AI agents that are both game changers, there's that buzzword, and potential nightmares. All right. And then plus, I think we'll wrap up with some practical recommendations for organizations to stay ahead of the curve in the second half of 2025 as we realistically approach the holidays. All right, so grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get started. All right, so let's kick things off with the big picture. AI adoption has skyrocketed in 2025 with McKinsey reporting. I'm looking here that 78% of organizations, so it's not even quite that significant, but it is still significant. 78% of organizations now use AI in at least one business function, from IT, looks like, to marketing, to customer service. But as we know, all of us geeks, with great power comes great responsibility, and obviously great risk. The rapid integration of AI has outpaced all of our security controls, leaving gaps that cybersecurity or cyber criminals are all too eager to exploit, right? It's the next big thing for those cyber criminals. At the same time, the push for responsible AI, which we talk about quite a bit, we hear about it in Microsoft articles, ensuring AI systems are ethical, transparent, and aligned with human values has gained serious momentum. Now, why is that? Think about it, because the stakes are literally higher than ever. AI isn't just crunching numbers anymore. It's making decisions, right? It's automating processes, and in some cases, acting autonomously. You may have noticed on the blog, I've started developing ideas and thoughts and some blog posts around more autonomous AI when it comes to humanoid security. We'll dig into that a little bit later on. You'll see those in the blog, but I'll dig into that a little bit later on, maybe in a future episode, but I think that is going to be hugely significant. All right. So first off, though, let's kind of talk about progress. Let's talk about some of the positive aspects. Okay. So on the responsible AI front, we've seen promising developments already. The World Economic Forum's AI Governance Alliance, which was launched in 2024, has been working to unite industry leaders, governments, and academics to kind of set global standards for transparent and inclusive AI systems. There's a recent white paper that they released, Navigating the AI Frontier, which emphasizes the need for ethical guidelines and robust oversight, especially, we'll get to more here in a second, these AI agents. All right. Meanwhile, the EU AI Act, try to say that real fast, which kicked into enforcement in January 2025, is setting a global precedent by imposing strict requirements for AI safety and fairness. Organizations, as part of that, are now required to demonstrate compliance or face hefty fines. I think it's like 287 million pounds in penalties. I think have already been dished out to like 14 companies this year alone. I think that's according to Deloitte, who I used to actually work for early in my career. So that's sort of a wake-up call and should be for all of us. All right. On the security side, tools like AI-powered threat intelligence platforms and runtime security solutions are becoming more sophisticated thanks to AI. Companies like, I've read recently, SentinelOne and Allegro Security are offering real-time monitoring and automated threat response to protect AI systems themselves from attacks like, which we've heard previously, things like data poisoning and model theft. The OWASP Gen AI Security Project has also expanded its scope. It's released updated guidance in 2025 that covers not just large language models, but now also the agentic AI systems. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that here shortly. Their top 10 for LLM and generative AI security is now a go-to resource for developers and CISOs alike. So a lot of interest, as you can see, a lot of progression even in the beginning of 2025. But here's the flip side of this. All right. We talked about kind of the positive, wanted to start positive. Let's talk a little bit of the negative aspects. The threat landscape is evolving just as fast, right? If not faster. So let's dive into some recent AI security incidents that have made headlines already in 2025. Okay, first up, a chilling example from the financial sector. The Financial Services Information Sharing and Analysis Center, or ISAC or ISAC, reported in March 2025 that 82% of financial institutions faced attempted prompt injection attacks targeting their AI systems, right? So we know what a prompt injection attack is. It involves feeding malicious inputs to trick AI agents into leaking sensitive data or taking unauthorized actions like, for example, resetting passwords. That's kind of a more simpler one, but yep, simple works, right? So shockingly, 47% of these institutions reported at least one successful attack, all right? With an average financial impact of, guess what, $7.3 million per breach. I don't know if that's actually an increase in normal breaches, but that is still pretty significant. All right. So the most common attack vector, compromising the fine-tuning data sets used to customize AI models for fraud detection and training, literally attacking the models that are designed to help protect us. As you can imagine, that's pretty rough. Then there's the retrieval poisoning incident tied to the Russian disinformation network Pravda. I don't know if you heard about this. Checkpoint Research revealed that in 2024, Pravda pumped out 3.6 million articles designed to manipulate AI chatbots. So the data sources that the AI chatbots are utilizing are actually suspect, right? So by 2025, these efforts were paying off. About 33% of the time, chatbots echoed Pravda's false narratives when queried. So if we can't trust AI, why do we use AI, right? This shows how AI's reliance on real-time online data can be weaponized to spread disinformation, especially when those models aren't properly secured, right? So that's pretty significant as well, something to kind of think about as you're building your own chatbots or you're utilizing someone else's, right? There kind of has to be a seal of trust. And let's not forget the Hugging Face platform breach, where 100 compromised AI models were uploaded in early 2025, right? If you've not heard this, attackers used data poisoning, again, data poisoning to embed malicious content in these models, which could have spread to the organizations using them for tasks like natural language processing, all right? So also seriously significant. This incident actually underscores the risks of open source AI data sets. Everybody extols open source, but This is pretty inconvenient. And when you think about OpenAI, open source AI data sets, they may be convenient, but they lack rigorous oversight. So who is watching the watchers at that point? These examples highlight why the focus on AI security is absolutely accelerating. According to Gartner, 73% of enterprises experienced at least one AI-related security incident in the past 12 months, with an average cost for that of $4.8 million per breach. And IBM's Cost of AI Breach report for the first quarter of 2025 found that it takes organizations an average of 290 days to identify and contain AI-specific breaches. All right, so how does that compare to traditional breaches? That's way longer. 290 days versus traditional data breaches take on average about 207 days. Knowing what I know with the tools that I know, that's ridiculous. I have to tell you, you really need to identify the best tools and best processes to minimize that time. Because as we're talking, and we'll talk a little bit more about the agentic AI, 290 days is ridiculous. I'm sorry. So that's a problem, okay, when AI systems are embedded in our critical operations. When we rely on these things, we need to be able to trust. Again, talking kind of that seal, someone needs to invent some kind of regulation where there is a seal of trust that has to meet certain criteria. All right, here we go. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, agentic AI. All right. These are AI systems that don't just process inputs or generate content. They actually act autonomously, making decisions and executing tasks with minimal human oversight. Obviously, humans have to enable these things and trust them and say, okay, do this job. But think AI agents booking travel, right? Or writing code or resolving customer service issues, right? If you can't trust those and those results and that AI is doing something potentially nefarious, who knows? You may end up on a deserted island somewhere with a volleyball named Wilson. I don't know. All right. Gartner projects that by 2029, 80% of customer service issues will be handled by AI agents. But here's the scary part, or at least one of them. I can think of a multitude since I'm a fiction writer. Their autonomy introduces a unique attack vector that's unlike anything that we've seen before. So why is agentic AI so risky? For starters, these systems often chain together multiple AI components, right? So the LLMs, the generative AI tools, the APIs, without enough checks and balances in place. If one component is compromised, errors or malicious data can cascade, amplifying the damage. It literally only takes one of those components to be compromised. For example, SNCC's Director of Security, Rudy Lai, warned at InfoSec 2025 that the security risk is in the gaps, right? The gaps between these components. A small error rate in one agent can snowball into a major breach when passed to another. Then there's the issue of shadow AI. Remember shadow IT? Unsanctioned AI agents deployed by employees without IT oversight. Sound familiar? Now it is part of AI. Forbes reported that these rogue deployments can lead to data leakage, unauthorized access, and compliance violations because traditional security frameworks are not equipped to handle AI's dynamic behavior. Okay, so imagine an AI chatbot in a legal firm inadvertently sharing confidential case details because it inherited overly broad permissions from the employees who set it up. All right, that is one example, but that is a real risk. Think about that. All the components or all of the things that you might enable agents to accomplish. And let's not overlook the potential for adversarial attacks. Agent AI's ability to learn and adapt makes it vulnerable to techniques like what we've already talked about, prompt injection or data poisoning, where attackers manipulate the inputs or the training data to skew those results or those decisions. All right. Ernst & Young's research found that only 31% of organizations have fully mature AI governance, meaning most are playing catch up as agentic AI adoption surges. All right, so talked about some scary things, some negative things, but the scariest part, when AI agents operate without human oversight, a single bad decision can have irreversible consequences. I hate to be this doom and gloom guy, right? But I'm always tend to be the one that brings these questions up. Somebody says, hey, this is great. Hey, these agents are cool. Well, are they secure? Right? Think of an AI agent approving a fraudulent transaction or misconfiguring a critical system. All right, just think about that for a second. You've all seen those things. Now you talk about something without human oversight. As Dr. Andrea Isoni from AI Technologies put it, instead of AI talking directly to humans, it's now talking to other AI systems in languages they understand. So without an intermediate security layer, these interactions are a hacker's playground. All right. So what can organizations do to tackle these challenges in the second half of 2025? Right? We've identified the things that keep us up at night in the first half. Let's figure out how we can address these and we can do better in the last half of 2025. The good news is that there are actionable steps to strengthen AI security and embrace responsible AI principles. All right, so here are 5 key recommendations I'm going to give you, grounded in the latest insights from experts and industry leaders, things that I've been reading, books, articles, blogs, trusted books, articles, and blogs, by the way. The first is to implement proactive security protocols. All right, don't wait for a breach to act. Just like all cybersecurity and security, adopt robust measures like adversarial testing is where you expose AI models to malicious inputs during development to build resilience. Use differential privacy to obscure sensitive data in model outputs and encryption to protect the data sets. Practice regular red teaming or simulating attacks on AI systems. This can help uncover vulnerabilities before hackers do. All right. The second one is to establish strong governance frameworks. All right, we should have been working on this already, but in relation to AI, it becomes more critical. Transparency and accountability are literally non-negotiable, right? Don't think around this. Don't think over this. Think through this, right? It's non-negotiable. Conduct regular model audits to check for biases, errors, or even security gaps. Use explainable AI techniques to make AI decisions traceable and understandable. Some good resources, the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, and also MITRE's new Atlas, relatively new, MITRE Atlas Matrix. So it's MITRE.org, but now they have Atlas, which is an AI matrix for potential threats. These are great starting points for building your own governance that will align with global standards, because those global standards will apply. Just we talked about earlier, you might be fined or other things. The third is to enforce least privilege for AI agents. We talk about zero trust all the time. Least privilege, all right? Treat AI agents like human users. Right? You probably never think about that. All right. When it comes to access control, again, treat AI agents like human users. Assign unique identity credentials and enforce the principle of least privilege to limit what AI systems can access or what they can do. Have tools in place to monitor API calls and AI-driven workflows for anomalies like unauthorized data requests. This is super important. Knowing where agentic AI is deployed and what permissions it has will be critical. All right. And we're at number 4, invest in employee training and awareness. That's just a given. We talk about that all the time. It doesn't matter what it is. Invest in your employees' skill sets and knowledge. Shadow AI thrives because employees don't always understand the risks. All right. launch some education campaigns, teach staff about secure AI use, but more importantly, I think teach them about the dangers of unsanctioned tools, how it affects them, how it impacts the business, and the results of not adhering to governance and regulations. Train developers. Oh my goodness. Train the developers to write secure code for the applications that they're building. That OWASP Gen I security project I mentioned earlier, they offer open source resources to help teams stay informed, particularly when it comes to building code. All right, and the last recommendation that I will make and give to you is adopt specialized detection tools. Traditional security tools are not enough for AI. I think a lot of organizations, particularly Microsoft, are retrofitting a lot of these tools. Microsoft Purview is an amazing tool for helping with this, but definitely invest in AI-specific monitoring solutions that can detect these prompt injections, data poisoning, or just literally unusual model behavior. You need something that is constantly monitoring all aspects of these AI systems, all right? IBM's 2025 report found that organizations with these tools cut breach detection times by 61%. What was that number that we talked about earlier? 290 days. 61% is significant. Still not quite where it needs to be, I don't think, but that's a lot better than that. There's a lot of platforms out there that you can find that will flag high-risk prompts and prove invaluable for catching threats early. All right. So as we wrap up this episode today, it's clear that AI security and responsible AI are no longer optional. They're absolutely mission critical. The incidents that we've seen already in 2025, from the prompt injection attacks in finance to retrieval poisoning in disinformation campaigns, these show that the risks are real and growing. Agentic AI's autonomy makes it a double-edged sword capable of transforming operations, all right, but also opening scary new attack vectors, right? And I think it's worthwhile to be scared. And you know, I don't think we think about that enough when it comes to cybersecurity, particularly just general cybersecurity, but also in AI. We should approach these things with fear, right? In that we want to put the tools in place to make us feel better, or at least sleep at night. So with the right strategies, proactive security, strong governance, and a culture of accountability, organizations can actually harness AI's potential. And we want to do that, but still keep the threats at bay. All right, so what's next? Keep an eye on regulatory developments, especially as the U.S. navigates its fragmented AI policy landscape, all right? And as the EU tightens its enforcement already. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and don't be afraid to ask tough questions about how your organization is securing its AI system. Don't be afraid to talk to the developers. What are you doing around secure code as you're developing these AI systems that run our business? All right. So we'll be back. I'll talk more about some additional insights. I've had some ideas talking about this already. And we will talk soon. Until then, this is Rod Trent signing off from After the Blog. Stay safe out there in the AI frontier. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share After the Blog with your network. Got thoughts on AI security or topics you want me to cover in future episodes? Drop me a line either on X, on LinkedIn, or I think Blue Sky. I'll see it there, but definitely here on my blog. All right. We will talk next time.